Welcome to Blue Talks.
There are about 8 billion people on the planet. And you might ask yourself, how many of those people ever wanted to write a book? I Googled it and it said 80%. And that's a lot of people. And then I asked it again, how many people have actually written their books and published their books? 3%. So I give people permission to write the short book first, and then at least they're published, right? You get published because 36 pages is the shortest book you can put on Amazon and get published with a spine. It's nice to have a little bit of a spine. And then anyone can write a 36-page book in a day or two, work on it, get it edited. We don't want more bad books, and get it published in a week or two. And so this is, I was going to make a beautiful PowerPoint, and then I realized I only needed one visual aid. My short book. And this is 70 pages. I couldn't stop at 60 pages, but if I would have known then, I wrote this 5 years ago and I had to pivot with COVID. If I would have known then, 73 pages gives me enough space to put on my title and my author name. And then what we're doing with our short book is we're using it for the outline for our longer book. And so I'm writing a longer book called The Bible of Self-Publishing with every single bullet, every single thing someone needs to do, which probably will nix what I do as coaching. They won't need me because if they read the book and do each bullet list. But so what you can do is you can take your short book, but if you don't write another book, you've got the short book done. And this book has done so much for me. It's garnered me 7,000 emails, which I know doesn't sound like a lot to some of you who have 10 or 20,000, but they're all organic. It's a lot for me. I started with 100 of just my friends and colleagues. And so this book has given me 7,000 emails. It shows me as the expert. And I teach from it. I sell from it. And I sell it on Amazon. And the great thing is, as soon as people open my book or hear me speak, they usually sign up with me because they see I know what I'm talking about. I probably know more about self-publishing than almost anyone on the planet because I do all these little layers and take everybody through it. And the great thing is that it's never been easier to publish on Amazon and KDP. KDP stands for Kindle Direct Publishing. And don't be confused by that because it's the place you would publish all of your formats. You would publish your paperback, your ebook, your hardcover, and through ACX, their sister company, audiobooks, and you can do it all for free. I've helped so many people do their audiobooks completely for free instead of paying $2,000, $5,000. And the incredible thing about Amazon and KDP, they give us so many attributes. I have to sing their praises all the time because one of the things they give you are samples. Please promise me you will never publish a book without reading the sample first, or you will be sorry, I promise. So you can buy your samples at author price, and you can send them to the people who are working with you, your editor, your maybe interior design, your beta readers, and family. And you can have people look at them and find the mistakes, because there's another thing I want you to realize. As soon as you publish your book, you're going to find tons of mistakes. There's nothing you can do about it. It happens to everybody. It happens in the traditional world. But you will be finding mistakes, so forgive yourself today. That's one of the things I ask people I start coaching with is forgive yourself today for your mistakes. But the beautiful thing, another attribute of KDP, as soon as you find them, you go fix it on your PDF and you reload your book. And you can reload your book as many times as you want. You can change everything about your book once it's published, except for your title and your subtitle. You can change categories, keywords, the interior, the cover, but you cannot change the title. So it has so many other attributes. They give you an entire web page with your picture and your bio and your description of your book. And then they let you buy as many copies as you want at cost. This book is about $2 delivered. And my grandmother's book, is my signature book, 300 pages, is about 550 delivered. And I carry them with me all the time. And so what happened to me was COVID hit. But it was the best thing that ever happened to me in my life, almost, besides marriage and a kid. What happened was I had to pivot. And I was teaching offline for centuries, well, decades, and I taught at our local school of adults, and they gave me a classroom of 24 computers, and I was a teacher of all trades. I taught how to sell on Etsy and eBay, public speaking, how to write books, herbology. I taught all social media. I taught all kinds of things, and so I had to pivot and put all my classes online. And I didn't know anything. I didn't even know Zoom. I had to learn Zoom. I had to learn about CRMs. And so I took all these classes, and I was very fortunate to meet Aman, a guy, as a mentor, and he taught me course creation. So the first course I created is my signature course, Write Your Short Book in a Day. I wrote this book in my first course. And what another attribute of KDP is, I always say, join now. If you're not going to publish for 2 or 3 months or maybe a couple years, join today anyway. And the reason is you can get templates. I wrote this entire book in a template. They give you the great templates with page numbers, margins, everything all set up. And all you have to do is dump your book into it. And then they also give you tutorials. And you can learn everything you need to know about publishing from KDP tutorials or YouTube tutorials. They're fantastic. So there's all these wonderful things you can do with your book. And what happened was COVID hit. My big book about my famous grandmother, Jessie Haver Butler, came out in March. COVID hit in March. And I was stuck at home, so that's why I took all the classes. I thought, well, I'm going to sit here, and I can't leave my house, so I might as well learn everything I can, especially tech, because I wasn't especially good on tech. And so I learned Zoom. I learned how to garner emails. I wrote my book. It's been my flag. And then I thought I would be speaking, when the book came out, I thought I would be, it's called From Cowgirl to Congress. I thought I'd be speaking all over the USA, especially California, where I'm from, Washington, D.C., where she worked as the first woman lobbyist, London, where she spoke as George Bernard Shaw's speaking partner for years and years, and then back to, all over where she was. And I couldn't go anywhere. And I immediately found podcasts and summits and started speaking on them. And I always say yes to all of them. I'm in the next book with John Gray, and he was speaking at one of the Blue Talk events. And he said that, and he's a famous man. He wrote Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. And he said, I will speak at any podcast or summit where there's 2 people or 2,000. So I've been doing that. I've been speaking 1 to 4 times a week for the last 5 years. And I love it. I love every minute of it. I wanted to follow in my grandmother's footsteps. From Cowgirl to Congress follows her life from a tragic, tragic childhood in Colorado. I don't even mention the worst parts of it because I wanted the family to read it and they thought her father was the pillar of the community. But a teacher saw how brilliant she was and got her to Smith College on the East Coast. And then she must have had a star above her head because she was on the front line of many, many historical events. You won't believe this, but her first job after college was to put together the Pulitzer School of Journalism with one professor. Our second job was to help women get minimum wage, if you can believe it, from $4 a week to $8 a week, and get the children out of the factories. Then they sent her down to DC to become the first woman lobbyist. And that's where she worked with Alice Paul closely and Carrie Chapman Catt and helped us women get the right to vote in 1920. And then she went to London and spoke all over London with George Bernard Shaw, became best friends with Lady Astor. Don't let me forget to tell you about Lady Astor, wrote the foreword for her book that came up, and that's another secret of when you write a book, have someone famous write your foreword, or someone with a lot of books, because then that ties you to their algorithms and their books, and it helps your sales. Anyway, then she came back to DC, and she taught public speaking to Eleanor Roosevelt and thousands of women. And the great thing about that is that a funny story is Eleanor would say, Jessie, just bring all the women over from our class to the White House and we'll rehearse together. Can you imagine before they had protocols and guards in place? And so they would do that. And then she decided to write a book for women, the first book for women speakers called Time to Speak Up. And it's still, you can still find it on Amazon sometimes, the old book. And she holed up in a little cabin that she had bought from Eleanor and FDR, because they sold these little cabins out there for people in the Shenandoahs. And my grandfather worked for FDR. FDR hired my grandfather to put together the Social Security Department with 2,000 people under him. And so she holed up for 3 months, if you can imagine. She wrote a 300-page book in 3 months about speaking. And then she called her friend she had been involved with Christian Science, which was really big back then. They had cathedrals, a huge networking system, and he worked for Harper and Collins. And she just casually said, yeah, I wrote a book this summer. And he said, send it to me. I'll publish it. Every author's dream, just getting your book published suddenly, right? So he published it, and it was 1946. And she went around and toured the whole United States. And she spoke in front of 2,000 people at every stop, and her book sold like hotcakes. Now, I didn't read this story until after I had published a book, and I started teaching people how to use their book to garner coaching customers and to wave it as a flag and to use it to sell from. And that's what she did in 1946, and I had no idea. I gasped, because here's all my mentors teaching me that. Then I'm taught it. I'm teaching it now to everybody. And I can't believe that I didn't read that. Well, I read it in the first go-around of the book, but then I reread the book, and I was just shocked that she had done it in 1946. So it's nothing new. You know, we think it's a new thing, and we're on it. But anyway, so she was amazing, and she half-raised me. And in her early 90s, she took me along when she spoke with Gloria Steinem and Marlo Thomas in Hollywood all the time. And she is why I am who I am, and I wanted to be like her, and I'm following right in her footsteps. You know, it's so great. But anyway, there's so many ways for you to write your book. A lot of people hire me to come and teach how to use already written material to write your book. Think about it. What do you already have written that would make a great book? Your master's thesis, diaries, transcripts from podcasts and summits, anything. It could be records you kept. It could be writing down what you were going to teach at a class and then re-embellishing it. One woman in my own town, usually I teach people on the East Coast in Canada, but I'm starting to get a lot of people from word of mouth in my own town. And we went to the library, and she had a master's thesis on altars. And so we copied it. Oh, I had her join KDP. We went and got a 6x9 template. 6x9 is the industry standard. And what she did was she copied her whole thesis, and we put it into a formatted thing with the page numbers and the margins. And in 5 minutes, voila, she had a book. All she had to do is go back in and fix it for about 3 hours and format it just a little better and get a cover, you know, and then get it published. So that's what I'm doing with people, is helping them make books out of material they already have. Now, another easy way to get published for you is to be in an anthology. I know Blue Talks offers those. I've done 3 versions of the Cinderella monologues, people coming from struggle to success, because when I grew up, I was the Cinderella from age 10. I had to do all the housework 4 hours a day, but kept me out of trouble in gangland. My brother, we both grew up in gangland, and he didn't make it out. And I did, I think, because of the work. So now I realize there's so many Cinderellas and Cinderella stories of all kinds. So I've done the Cinderella monologue. So if you can find an anthology to be in, maybe one that doesn't cost a whole lot, do that, because you'll become instantly published, and the organizers will do all the work. So I suggest you do that. And then there's another thing I've been doing for people, is a lot of people went with a company to publish their book that promised advertising, lots of sales, professionality, and they don't always come through. And so my girlfriend says I have to make up website called getyourbooksback.com. I've helped 8 people get their books back from negligent publishers. And then we republish them on Amazon so they have control of their own book. So there's a lot of ways of thinking about how do you want to write a book. The word on the street right now is 20 minutes a day is all we ask. And Toni Morrison, the famous novelist, she said that when she wrote her first book, she only had 15 minutes a day because of raising children and work. And the rest is history. She became a famous novelist. So a lot of people tell me I've tricked them once I say 20 minutes a day. Even 5 minutes a day will end up to a book. My mother tricked me into becoming a writer. She said, Mila, I know you've always wanted to become a writer, so why don't you write 1 sentence a day? And I said, oh, I could write 1 sentence a day. I was 18. And you can't. It's like potato chips. You have to write a page or a page and a half. So by the end of the month, I was a writer. And so a lot of people come up to me and they say, Mila, you tricked me. Now I'm writing 2 hours a day. But we don't have to do that long 2-hour-a-day thing anymore. We don't have to go to the gym and do 2 hours. We can do 20 minutes of everything. And that's what I'm doing. I go to the gym, no matter how I'm dressed. I walk on the treadmill for 20 minutes and then I leave. So, that's what we can do with writing. And if you want to write for 2 hours, great, but you don't have to. Think 20 minutes a day, maybe 5 minutes a day, and you'll have a book. And if not now, when? When are you going to have a book? A lot of you probably already have a book, but when are you going to write your next book? Some of you don't have a book. When are you going to write your book? Let's start today. Fingers on keyboard, pen and paper, go. Get your book done and don't wait any longer. Just do it.